Ever met someone who can flip the script on a tired narrative faster than a New Yorker cutting through traffic? That's Julia Linehan for you. The mouth of media, the PR powerhouse behind the digital voice, is known for calling out the nonsense in ad tech with the precision of a surgeon and the flair of a Broadway performer. She's made it her business to shake up the status quo, turning what could be a dull conference panel into something more like a front row seat at a cage match.
Deserve to win when it matters most. Facing multi-billion-dollar bet the company litigation? No problem. That's why we're here. Troutman Amin, LLP is a true legal powerhouse.
Hey, today on the ADOTAT Show, we got Julia Linehan, the mouth of media and the PR queen behind the digital voice. She's been shaking up the ad tech scene with the finesse of a bull in a china shop. Think bold, brash, and totally unfiltered. From brand safety to calling out PR nonsense, Julia's got some hard truths to share. So if you're ready for some real talk, stick around because she's here to stir the pot. Julia, you've been called everything from, as I mentioned, the mouth of media to the voice. It's clear you've never shied away from speaking your mind. So before we get into the meat of this conversation, how are you doing today?
Do you know what? I'm doing really well. I mean, it's very rarely that you'd ever meet me and not see me smiling and full of energy. But actually, it's just coming to the end of the summer here in the UK, and it's almost back to school mentality next week. I love that. I kind of love that season change. So I feel good. We were talking today, going next week, back to school, autumn. Maybe it'll cool down a bit here in the UK, which is weird to say, but we love our seasons and it's just a bit too hot with no air conditioning. So yeah, feeling good.
So as we mentioned before the show, you've been in the digital advertising industry for nearly 3 decades, balancing like a circus acrobat between media powerhouses and up-and-coming agencies. If you could trade places with anyone in the ad tech world for a single day, who would it be?
This is a really tough one. I'd love to trade places with maybe one of the ad tech legends like Rob Webster or John Walsh, only to get inside their brain because it's a complex place to be. So that would almost amuse me slightly. But the other side is I wouldn't mind getting into the trading places with one of our clients who is right in the heart of ad tech. We're sat there, obviously, we're the PR agency for the ad tech industry, but I'd love to trade places and make sure I understand what they're going through, their side of the fence. So probably that.
If you were if they were stepping into your shoes, what's the first piece of wisdom you'd whisper in their ear to help them survive a day as the voice?
You've got to be able to have a huge amount of energy and not run out of juice, not run out of batteries, because it is relentless and there's no way you can drop. And by that, I mean both in how you behave and the energy you show, and also just that enthusiasm for what you do. It is very stressful. I did read the other day that apparently working in PR comes fourth behind working as a doctor, a policeman, and a firefighter. Now, I can't quite believe that. That might be an untruth. It might be a bit of fake news, but that's what I read on somebody put there. And I thought, in some ways it is, because it is a little bit relentless.
You're done. I'm sorry.
That's how relentless it is. Well, I've come to the end of my day and I've now run out of words.
Well, I appreciate you staying up. What is like 8 o'clock there?
No, it's a bit early in that, but because I start a bit like you, I'm an early bird that gets up at 5, starts early. So it's now 5 o'clock here. So I start at 6 a.m. So I'm coming to the end of my battery, but always I can for this.
Your energy does still seem always limitless, like you have some sort of a perpetual motion machine. What is the key to that?
It's very simple. Wow, there's one simple thing. I stopped drinking alcohol 5 years ago. I could take it or leave it, but it's something I decided I never wanted to have the effects of alcohol again. And part of the reason was it was impacting. I really struggled with hangovers when I hit 45 and just thought it was stopping me being the best I could be. So definitely, that's a really simple trick. If you don't want to give up alcohol completely, it'd certainly be a mindful drinker because it makes a huge difference. And the other trick is, if you love what you do, it really doesn't seem like hard work.
Tired of ads that make you want to gouge your eyes out? So are we. At Origin, we've remastered TV advertising to actually capture your attention and deliver real results. Ditch the same old, and elevate your brand with dynamic, captivating ad experiences. Expect better, expect Origin.
So I notice you are alcohol-free 5
Yeah.
years, and it's
Yeah.
about the same I have been. I just happen to be allergic to it. One day I woke up and I was allergic to alcohol. Tell me a little bit about Spill. It's a group you co-founded. Why do you think the ad industry needs more spaces for non-drinkers, and what has been the response?
So why does it need it? Well, as an industry, I've never seen an industry more enjoys boozing and partying. And I led from the front for about 25 years. So I was part of that. And I used to, when I first started out in the industry in 95, your third interview was in a pub to see how much you could drink. You know, it's defined us and it's been a huge part. I certainly haven't ever regretted it because I've got huge amounts of probably really strong relationships with people because we've spent done all-nighters at Mexico and Cannes. But there comes a point when I found personally at a certain age, it was starting to not serve me well, both mainly in health terms, in energy terms, and also it was having an impact on my life beyond that. The party has to stop at some point. So a lot of Spill was allowing the rest of the industry to see if you see enough people around you at an event that also don't drink, or that are mindful drinkers or just decided to be sober curious, it means that you're encouraging other people to go, okay, it's good, you're looking like you're having fun, you're still out, you're still enjoying it. So it was really gave people the chance to see it is possible. It's just as enjoyable to go out there and not drink at any event. I have more fun mainly because I remember it and I'm listening to what people are saying and taking it all in. So I really enjoy it. So it's been needed in the industry. Unfortunately, we have had quite a few people that we know and love who are no longer with us. And one of the reasons behind that for some of those people has been excessive drinking and lifestyle. And I think it was a wake-up call to quite a few of us. So I think that's been a really wonderful thing out of a very sad event that lots of people now go, okay, I think it's time for me too. And it's just growing really. And what we also do is we encourage the industry event organisers to have some respect for people that choose not to drink alcohol, but don't want to always have a glass of orange juice or a Diet Coke. We're not 12. I love alcohol-free beer, alcohol-free champagne, wine. When I turn up to an event, if you're the one standing there with an orange juice, it really stands out. Why can't I have a glass of champagne? There's loads of varieties of alcohol-free champagne. So we encourage the industry to do that and get behind it. I probably am the biggest nag of some of the industry organisers going, come on, what the fudge is this orange juice you're trying to serve me? So yeah.
Is there a favorite non-alcoholic drink that you like?
Yeah, I love it. And then it's called Thompson and Scott Naughty Champagne. And Amanda Thompson Scott, who founded it, is just brilliant. And bless her, she sent me 5 bottles on my 50th as well, because I've just been drank it at my wedding. The wine is tricky. It's not as good. Like there's one brand, Naturio, that does do good wine, but I love the alcohol-free beers, and I drink them out of the bottle. Proper uncouth. I never drank a real beer, and then it turned alcohol-free, and I'm loving the alcohol-free beers.
So you described yourself as a woman who knows how to get shit done with a smile. Let's break that down a bit. What's the secret sauce to juggling high-stakes clients, ambitious freelancers, and a relentless schedule without losing your grin?
I think one of the things is, so two things. I only choose to have people around me at the Digital Voice that match my energy, probably kindness and organisation and early birds. I tend to make that a criteria. So I'm surrounded by people that are very like-minded. And then we choose client partners that equally have the same, I suppose you could call it ethic, and ways of working. So we're very lucky that we're always full. And whenever we're not full and we do have a space available, we tend to have a wait list that want to join us. And we do get to choose who we work with. And if a client partner treats us like an agency, it's a bit of a red flag for me because we're not an agency. We're an extension of their team. There are 37 people at the Digital Voice, and all 37 people will work for each client partner. So they can have a choice at any one time, depending, have the events team, creative, multimedia, marketing, press, content. They're all there to work with all of them. And so we need client partners that get us, that allow us to be a little bit fun, that don't mind if we fail, because we'll sometimes come up with really random shit and we're like, just give it a go. The data will tell us if it doesn't work, but it's trying not to get people to be too serious. Ad tech is a serious topic. It can be very boring. And our job is to go with people and clients that get that you've got to try different things, different approaches, different ways of talking about what you do.
So, is it about finding joy in the chaos, or do you have a secret chocolate stash?
And I do I like sweets. I do like Diet Coke. That's true. I think as well, one of the things I've learned is that I really like organization. I'm super organized with my day. I'm quite routine based as well. I think I have to be. I have 3 screens here. So I've always got like control tower here. 4 actually, if you count my mobile as well. And I think having all that, being really organized, I have a to-do list every day and I never bump things. And I also believe, and I make my team believe in inbox zero. So we don't leave, we make sure we're completely clear and we've answered everyone. And we also, final trick, we respond to every client's email. If it comes in the morning, it's answered by lunch. If it comes in the afternoon, it's answered before we finish. So it's that consistently, never procrastinate. Don't leave something to the next day, because the next day, zoom, up comes the next pile of work. And that's how you cope with chaos.
So I see all these awards behind you, the campaign 40 over 40, the Female Executive of the Year, and several other, right? So what's left on your professional bucket list? Is there a mountain you haven't climbed or entirely new terrain that you're eyeing with interest?
Do you know what? This is a really hard one. I got the campaign 40 over 40 on my 49th year. And I'll be honest, I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I don't need any more. It was quite a big deal for me to win that one. And I really felt like awards-wise, I've done myself proud in achieving that. I'm much more proud now of the awards we win as a business. There's not a lot left because I believe in, that living in the present. So I'm enjoying right now and I can't predict the future. And I also want to... No. My God, I wanted to be an actress, a copywriter, and a journalist when I was younger. And I kind of do all 3, apart from I'm really a failed actress. But yeah, a BAFTA would be nice, or something like that. I have been runner-up 3 times in Ad Tech Personality of the Year, so I'm not going to enter again, but I would have liked to have won that.
Why didn't you win?
I don't know, probably a bit annoying. Bull in a china shop, you said at the start.
Do you know who won each year? Who won each year?
Yeah, and they were all lovely. And every year I'm like, they deserve to win. I think it was all the winners, Joanna Burton, Karen Eccles, Paul Gubbins. These are all good people. Fiona Set, I think I think keep listing them.
Paul's hair. That's what it is.
Paul's hair, oh my God, his polls on LinkedIn. That's what did it.
So you've been at the forefront of PR in the ad tech space, battling the Wild West of digital like a gunslinger with a heart. Let's talk a little bit about brand safety.
Yeah.
It's the topic everyone loves to hate.
I
but
know.
You're a little bit obsessed.
Yeah, kind of. It started actually when I had the love it or hate it role of head of IASH in the UK. You mentioned the word IASH in the UK and the ad networks and people.
What does IASH mean?
Laugh. It was the Internet Advertising Sales House, and it was basically an audit process that all the ad networks had to go through in order to be able to be traded with agencies. It was really tough audits in order to make sure that they were trading brand safe inventory. And it had teeth. When I finished there after 2 and a bit years, we started at about 12 members and then we finished with 27 ad networks. And in the UK, the agencies would only trade with IASH accredited members. So it did its job and they really had to go through a grueling audit. That's what I mean by love it or hate it. And we suspended 2 companies, one of them twice, for failing their audit, and they lost millions. And I don't think that there's been anything that's existed since that's had teeth, but I'm working to change that slightly or be involved in initiatives like UK SAFC that I'm a founding advisor on. That's about fighting ad fraud. All of these initiatives that are out there, we're members of the Conscious Advertising Network as a digital voice and as UK SAFC. And I'm very pro us fighting this fight and not letting it drop. Obviously, the news on GARM was a bit of a shocker, and I feel for the WFA and GARM. I know the work that went into it. What I would say to the industry is the foundations are solid. The foundations are there. We have to keep building up on that. We can't just say, is there a risk of Elon coming after us? I don't think he is. If it's an industry
Right.
and an industry collective, we are strong enough to keep fighting it. So there's no doubt in my mind, brand safety it's dangerous to brands, dangerous for your reputation. It will impact performance. And let's go even further to ad fraud. Be under no illusion that ad fraud funds serious organised crime, including things like child trafficking. Let that sink in. Some of these sites are their only source of revenue is from advertisers, and yet it only funds fraud and crime. So why are we doing that? Why are we allowing that to happen? I'm going to keep fighting it.
Yeah, so if you could actually get everyone in one room, all the big players in one room, and lay down some tough love, what would you say that needs to be changed first and fast?
So the biggest one, and maybe I think even the simplest one, is about transparency in payments. Do you know where your money's going? Do you know what you're buying? It seems so simple, but I think if each company can actually think, can I have transparency in the chain, both in terms of payments and placements? If you can do that, each company will be able to hold their hands up and say that they're doing it right. Don't rely just on tech and the brand safety tools. They should be part of your suite. But it's really important to look at your overall processes as well. And that's where it's like the decision of how far does the industry go providing guidance on processes. Then you've got to layer on top maybe regulation from government. And that's something the UK SAFC is for the first time a coalition is working with regulators, government and the industry to see if we can really bring about change. But honestly, transparency, know where your money's going. And if you don't, then you've got a problem, and look under the hood.
Yeah, I mentioned today in my newsletter that there really is no additional inventory. Like anyone comes to you and they say they have new long tail inventory, they're lying. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's no new major site starting that's joined a new network. So, I mean, I think that's part of the issue.
Massively so. And there's so much you can do as well. Like, all the curation specialists there are making such a difference on being able to curate quality and volume of inventory that's right and that will
You've got
perform.
at least several clients that are in that space, right?
I do, yeah. One tag and multi-local. I'm very lucky that we get to work with these guys that are leading the front on curation. So everything is there, everything's set up. There's other companies like Gum for contextual, and you've got UTIC who's looking at privacy to make sure that users are protected and advertisers are protected. We tend to work with most of our clients, the digital voice, in some way, are having an impact on brand safety.
Yeah, don't you also have Audigent is a new client also, I think?
No, they're not one. They're not with us.
Okay, I thought I got
we're doing a joint press release, but there is a point at which, it's one tag and Audigent are doing a press release. Yeah, we do work with those, but I think there's a point, because we have multi-local and one tag, there's a point at which you have to then say, no, that's enough. Those are the only two players we'll work with on curation.
So you build a PR agency in one of the most chaotic, fast-paced industries. So what do you wish that someone had told you when you first started?
This is interesting. I suppose I wish they'd said that how stressful it was, and that you can't make everybody happy all of the time. And what I mean by this is we got 15 clients, and we strive every day to make sure that they're happy and that they're happy with what we're working on, the outputs, the delivery, the metrics, the engagement, all those things. It's very hard to get 100% hit rate. And it's now more, it seems, a rule a bit more 80-20, and be happy and have that as enough. Because I was probably killing myself a little bit, taking all this weight and this stress of I'm a people pleaser. And also I'm really proud that as a company, we have a solid reputation. We only take on new business based on referrals and recommendations. So you're only as good as what the clients will say about you. And I think I was taking all that stress, whereas I didn't need to. People know that A, you're human, and B, not everything is going to go right all of the time. And you have to run with the chaos a little bit. So probably that would be the biggest learning. And to not forget all the time.
Do you have a philosophy or mantra that you say daily that keeps you going?
Sort of. I always say, be bold, be brave, be you. And I also believe in let your voice be heard. However junior you are, your voice matters, count, be heard. And I've always sort of stuck by that I'd never shy away from saying what I think. And our voice is one of our most powerful tools that we have. I was doing some training with one of our lovely clients, ESB Connect, doing some presentation training, and I was saying voice control and that ability to use your voice to change the dynamics. It's a bit like now, if I stop smiling and I talk in a monotone voice, it really flattens the energy. That's voice control. That's the power you have. So have something you are passionate about. Be authentic. Think about what it is you want to say and the message you want to get across, and then amplify the shit out of it. That's what we do, and that's what PR should be.
So looking back in the past 10 years, what's the most surprising thing you found about running the digital voice that you never saw coming? And what's the one challenge that keeps you up at night?
God, our roller coaster of an industry. I've been through it all over. That's why I was around in the dot-com crash in '99, obviously 2007, 2008 shit show. And then obviously over the last few COVID, and then last year was just a weird year, and the year before has been like this roller coaster galore. So I think it's that it never surprises me how challenging it can be. So we all the time have to be ready and prepared that some clients will either have to pull back or pause. Now, I have always done something different maybe to other companies in that I really passionately believed in, I love smaller companies and startups, those starting out. And I've made sure that we are cost effective and we open our doors to allow those companies that may not have big budgets to still have a voice and watch them grow. And equally, when the shit hit the fan, we have been more than happy to pause immediately and not hold them. We don't hold them to long-term contracts. If they need out and they need my help, they get it. So I think it's riding the wave of this industry with what's around the corner, because you just don't know, and just making sure I always prep. That's why I have a wait list and I tee up people and I try and make it so that if one or two clients have to pause because of funding, but our job is also to guide them and try and make them as successful as they can. So we're lucky enough, we retain clients. Our longest standing is 9.5 years. Most of our clients are 3+ years now. So hopefully their business has grown because we've helped them grow along with their own magic.
Is there any major misconception about PR in this space that makes your eyes roll off?
Yes. PR equals press releases. It's
Everyone
so
thinks
much
that?
more. Yeah. They're like, we want to do some PR. Okay, brilliant. What do you want to do? Well, we want to run some press releases. And generally, when they say it, your heart falls because you're thinking. Then they say, oh, we've got really loads of new product releases. And
I think people they think people care about every little product feature.
Yeah, this is what I would love to say.
This is now version 2.0, 2.3. It has these changes.
I would say that it would be probably the biggest bit of the key ingredient to making your company as an ad tech company work and to get into the press is this. Do not think that anyone is interested in your brilliant new product offering or launch. You're interested in it. You're proud of it. Brilliant. Now, what you do is you take all that amazing evidence and news and you put it in places like LinkedIn articles, blogs, your own podcast, your own social posts, and what you write about yourself, and in some titles that obviously allow for sponsored content. When you want to talk about getting to tier 1 and even tier 2, you have to write about what the press are wanting to write about. And that is often the challenges that the industry face. So spin it, ad tech companies. Do not focus on what you do really well. It's clever shit. Brilliant. That's great. Just say, what's the problem the industry faces? Show the evidence that you can solve it. And then you go and then you show them how you've done it. It's kind of missing out that very clever tech bit. It's stepping back and going, what problem have you got, client? How can we help? And then saying, actually, we've already helped other clients do this, or thinking bigger than that. That will help.
So you've seen a lot of PR disasters, I assume, and they unfold like a slow-moving train wreck. What's the most common mistake you think companies make when they're doing their own PR the right way?
I think there's too much obsession with tier 1, the obsession with tier 1 is it's a bit about going back in time to vanity metrics. So I've been seen in some of the big titles. Now, It's not, it's part of your strategy. It shouldn't be the be all end
We're
all.
talking about tier one publications.
Yeah, tier one, the big tier one publications, most of whom are read by brands and agencies. So the ad tech companies want to get in there. Those tier one titles only want to talk about brands and agencies. They don't want to hear from ad tech. So we've got a problem and a disconnect. The way to work it is to make sure, again, you're commenting about what the press want to talk about, and you don't spin it. You don't use it as a self-serving tool. So that would be part of it, I think, is trying to get them to see that bigger picture.
Is the obsession with buzzwords that mean everything and nothing all at once an issue?
Yeah. Well, I was on stage and running this panel for an Adform and UTIC event, and I was moderating a panel just before the drinks break. So I knew I had to hold the audience. So I was getting them really involved, and I said, stand up if you think the world would be better, cookieless, and all of this. It was just before Google changed their mind again. And the last bit I did is I was saying to people, okay, I want you to talk to there's 150 people in the room, turn to the person next to you and say, what's the buzzword that gives you the most dick? And then I said to them, now shout it out. And they all shouted out all the buzzwords that we know and hate. And it was just, and then it was very funny.
What was the loudest
one? A year of mobile.
When was this?
When was that? 2 months ago? 3 months ago? Something like that.
It's still the year of mobile?
No, as in a buzzword. You know when people say it? Or buzz phrase. There was loads of different ones that came out, but they're all the same. They are some of the same words and there's some of the ad tech phrases that we all use, but I'm being flippant about the year of mobile, but you know when people still say it.
So is there an unappreciated move in the PR playbook that you think more companies should be leaning into?
Is there
getting back to, is there a underappreciated move, like getting back to basics, engaging with people, or maybe being more human?
Yeah. I mean, keep it short and simple. KISS is one. Say what you mean. Think about it this way. If you had
Judge Judy.
Yeah. So you've got to be able to say, right, what you do in a short...
Do you know who she is over there?
Judge Judy, I don't know.
Yeah, she's Judge Judy Shineland. So she had a TV show. She still has a TV show, one of those court shows.
Did she say keep it short and simple?
She wrote a book called Keep It Simple, Stupid. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'd said.
About 30 years ago.
They were like, keep it short, stupid. And then I was like, no, it's keep it short and simple. But now I understand where that comes from. So think about it this way. I always say to people, think about what you do and then condense it into a one-liner short and a one-liner long and a strap line, but something that's punchy and that says it all. It's a bit like saying, would you be able to describe to your 5-year-old or a 95-year-old in your family what you do? So that's the first thing. Add a bit of fun into it. I would love to see ad tech bring the sass back, bring the sexy back to ad tech. And one of our clients, Thomas Howard, had seen this, has just penned a piece of makes display sexy again. And we were like, this is good. It's like, it doesn't have to be serious all the time. Technically, there is a lot of it's very, very clever, very technical, and that's good. We use motion animation to bring that to life in a way that's palatable and easy to digest. But I do think it's just spinning it slightly differently, and interaction and engagements. And if you use LinkedIn well, you can listen to the data, and it's about show me the data. Let me be guided by which posts work, who engaged, how many people engaged, what did I get right there, what could I use again, using a whole mix of different tools that you have. And we almost call this the spider's view. So if you think about the body of a spider as, say, your news, a product release, say it's a product release, you've got to think about all the different legs being, I want to talk about that on a podcast. How can I make it interesting? I need to get it on stage. I need to run a newsletter to our audience about that. I want to run a lunch and learn session with a networking bit and going under the hood and taking difficult questions. I want to do a thought leadership piece. I want to do a Q&A. I want to try and guide something. I want to do motion animation because it could be complex. So I'm going to stick that in the mix. And I want to do a LinkedIn article when I can be a bit more self-serving. Boom. There's your spider. So it's so much more than one thing. And I think people try and do 8 releases instead of do one well and use the legs.
You're also known for telling it like it is, no sugarcoating, no fluff. So what do you think the harsh truth about PR is that no one wants to hear, but everyone needs to hear is? Is it like you can't PR your way out of a bad product?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you do get some companies. If I speak to a company that wants to work with us, and I can't buy it, I can't see a way that I could. I'm not going to use the word spin, and I shouldn't say that because it makes it sound like I'm tricking the system or cheating the system. But we do have to have spin. We have to
Well, you have to
bring
tell
it
a
to
story.
life. Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, I can't
EdTech
see
is
it.
not despite what you said, EdTech isn't the sexiest thing.
No. And I think the other problem is the tough part is when a CEO or founder is too much in the weeds. They want to write every thought leadership piece. They want to have their name on everything. They want to be on every call and they want to approve every piece of work. Now, a CEO and founder, and I know this myself because this was my company of 12 years. It took me a while to learn to let it go and let the 37 people at the Digital Voice do their job and stop micromanaging. And I stick my little mitts in. And I told the team, just tell me to back off and go leave it alone. And I think sometimes a founder will have such a strong, passionate belief in what they do so that they won't see the wood for the trees and they'll only see it their way. And that's really hard. And also they don't have the time. So then it becomes a disconnect because they're slow on sign off because they're trying to run a company. So CEOs out there of ad tech companies, let there be one person underneath you or a team that you trust and make them actually have control and a bit more license to try things without your constant approval.
Right. So we've had the conversation about remote learning for about 4 years now. And you've been living, breathing it, and making it work like a magician pulling rabbits out of a digital hat. What's the one thing that everyone keeps on getting wrong about remote work that makes you want to scream into your webcam?
My God. Firstly, that remote working is a negative and that it's something to be like, that it's looked down upon. We've been remote for 12 years. And so we were remote before it was cool to be. And then during COVID, so much companies proved that work.
You have people all over the world, right?
Yeah. So we couldn't possibly have an office. I mean, I don't live in London. I have people in the UK who don't live in London. Where would I put it? Would I selfishly put it in Kent, where I live? And everyone commute and layer on those hours onto their day. We're so much more effective, and people don't think you can have a good laugh remote. I've got my team. Some of them are in their early 20s, all the way through to 50s and 60s. No one in that age, no age, says anything other than they love working remotely. And that's not just them telling me it. I do check when I'm doing an interview process. So I have questions like, what will you miss about working in an office? And some of them have said, I would miss the banter and I'd miss going out straight after work for drinks. So you're kind of like, okay, there might be that's not quite right. But I had the teamwork hours that are 8 till 4, Monday to Thursday, and 9 till 1 on Friday. So say they want to go out with their friends in London, they can travel into London and be in London before their mates finish at the office. And on a Friday afternoon, everybody stops work. 1 o'clock, I want everybody out. And we make things work. People give me their full energy and I don't burn them out. So I'm a big fan of it. So my hours are longer, but that's okay because I love doing it. But though I'm starting to learn that 50 hours is too much to consistently do. There's a magic number, but for my team, I get so much more out of them when they're on 32 hours a week, or some are less if they've got families. Really, it's about flexibility. You've got to make remote working work. So we have a toolkit, we have loads of tech, software, we interact with each other all day long. So we're not just on Slack, but live on video, in and out of meetings with each other. We see our clients all the time. Our clients are with us on Slack. We're all engrossed in Trello as well. We see each other in person at the big events. Like I fly Mary and Noor over from Pakistan for MadFest. Sherry will be coming next year from Sri Lanka. So that's our big event. We're big fans of MadFest. I'm one of the co-founders of the Female Leaders Bar at MadFest. Cannes as well. We go to Cannes. We have Christmas stew. And we see each other quite often with the ones in the UK travel in to see clients for their events. So there's lots of in-person, but we love it. It's your day starts and finishes with work, and then you're free. From the moment you switch off, you've got a life.
So what do you think is more important, trust or technology?
Trust. Yeah. if we lose trust, so the one thing with remote working that I learned is trust is everything, because you can't see people, you can't see what they're doing. Now, I believe in outputs. So it's about getting the work done. So you can have flex during the day, absolutely no problem to have a light, to almost go for a walk if your head's spinning, or put a wash on or anything like that. But trust is about being open and saying, I'm going to take 10. I'm going to put a wash on or whatever. Not even needing to tell it, but we're quite a close-knit team. We're really nosy. But when trust fails, you start being suspicious. Are they logging on at Slack saying morning? And then you don't see them for an hour, and you think, don't hit the piss. Just say that you're knackered. Be honest. It's far better. And I do think as well, the outputs show, so you can always tell when someone's not working. And it's not about being presenteeism. It's not about the time spent at the desk. It's about their outputs, and you can see it. So I know everybody's working their socks off.
Have you ever had to fire someone that you didn't want to?
Mm-hmm. And that was
because
over trust. Yeah. Because they were lying. They were being dishonest about their time, and worse than that, they were passing on work to the team to do, but taking credit for it because they weren't doing anything. So they were giving it to the team, and that's a no-no. I protect my team so hard, so much. So you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of me if anyone went up against my team or did anything. So everybody in the team has to have the same ethics, really. But you treat your team well. You don't ever need to. I don't show anger. If somebody's done something wrong, you talk about it. It's like we talk about it. Don't do that. That wasn't great, and it's done. It doesn't need to be. I always believe in consistency as a manager. There's no need to when you lose your control, lose your temper, you've lost control.
So if you could have one superpower in the ad tech world, what would it be, and how would you wield it to make the industry better? Maybe it's like the power to see the future, or something more whimsical, like forcing people to read all the terms and conditions.
I'd love to be able to see the future, because Christ alive, I couldn't have predicted anything that went on over the summer. Right? Like, what the fuck? That would be one. I think another, I'd love to be the person that actually develops the tech. I mean, I'm not clever enough. I all take my hat off to people that are clever and see the vision. I can think of the tools that are needed, but the building of those is very, very clever. I think that the only superpower I'd have is, again, that ability to make it real, make it human, make it come to life. I think that's in a way a superpower with ad tech, because it's really tough.
If you could be on a desert island with 5 people, who would they be?
I would probably have to go with my husband, my 2 brilliant children, Casey from my team, who's just Florida sunshine. She's the most happy person ever. And then I'd probably put a bit of a curveball in there, somebody that would just make me laugh, somebody else from the industry, maybe even John Walsh, just make me laugh.
Well, John Walsh also said he'd bring Bear Grylls.
Sugar. Yeah, I should have had somebody practical, because we're all useless.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have to have that. Everyone would die.
Screw John Walsh. I'll have Bear Grylls too instead.
Well, if you bring John Walsh, I think he comes with Bear Grylls. I think that's the point. Is there a digital guru you want to help by your side to help craft messages in the sand to get help?
Digital guru in the sand. Who says it clearly? I mean, maybe
that's John Walsh again.
No, I don't know. I think I mean, I love so many people that in the industry really have something to say. Luke Benyon's doing a great job with it, doing these. What's he doing? It's like, I can't think of the word. It's not a rhyme, but it's like a rhyme about ad tech. He does these poetry. It's poems, I think it is. He's quite funny, Luke Benyon, doing those. There's just so many to name. I mean, Tamara Littleton is just somebody who's so calm, and she's not just the digital guru. She's social. She's founder of Social Element and absolutely amazing. But Tamara's another one I'd go, yeah. She'd write stuff in the sand that would make sense.
You know anyone that could do like a mean coconut curry over an open flame?
Don't know. Well, I definitely know it isn't me. My cooking skills are terrible.
Right. Do you like curry? Are you
I do. But I went to university in Birmingham, which is really well known for its faulty chicken. And I don't eat rice, so I eat faulty chicken and chips. So when I go to a curry house, I'm so let the whole country down by having chips for my curry, which are fries.
Right.
Fries and curry. So yeah. It's embarrassing, I have to admit that.
I think I've asked every British person about curry so far.
You must also, I have to declare that I am on the side of pineapple on pizza. So screw the haters, I'm all in on pineapple on pizza. One of the most important topics we discuss regularly.
Is British pizza any good? I don't think I've ever had pizza in England.
Yeah, I think it is. But I think anyone who doesn't live in Britain would say otherwise. Fish and chips are where we're at.
Right.
I can't beat them. That would be my go-to. Now I'm starving.
So moving on a little bit, you've been in the trenches for a long time. You've seen the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. What's the one thing in the ed tech world that right now that really gets under your skin and it makes you want to stand on the table and shout, enough already?
I'm trying to think as to what it would be.
What about the gender pay gap?
Yeah, I mean, excuse my language, but I can't actually believe it still exists. So
why are we still having this conversation in 2024?
Yeah, it's really odd. And can I be honest as well? So I've spent nearly 30 years in this industry and I'm a female. Not once have I not been paid what I'm worth, and I've never been underpaid or paid less than my male colleagues. And I've never had a glass ceiling, and if there was one, I smashed right through it. So I just don't see it, because I'll fight hard for what I want. I mean, when I was a salesperson starting out in Dennis Publishing, I knew the route to earn more money. Hit your top target. I love selling. I'm a true born salesperson underneath. And I could see it, and I could see the goal I wanted, and every role I changed to, every new job I took, I knew what my value was, and I went in there and said, this is what I want. And I overpay. I make sure I pay my team more than they're worth, because I believe that I want them to keep them, but I believe their market value. Yeah, they know
I'm paying you more than you're worth. You're not worth this much.
No, sorry, that's the wrong way. I pay them more than their market value. Sorry, I pay them what they're worth. Sorry,
I had to give you a hard time there.
Yeah, I pay them more than their market value, or more than competitors do, because I'm like, I see our success as a company I pass on to the team that's behind it. The freelancers we have are just amazing. All these experts are the best in the business, in my opinion. And so I think that I don't wait for them to ask for more money. I give it to them when I see good work, which I do all the time, and then they want more, and etc. But the gender pay gap, it really astonishes me, and I just every year we fight it and talk about it. And I loved that new on X gender pay gap reveal, and it did it on the day that companies were going, look at us, we're International Women's Day, and on that day they were exposed on that Twitter feed. And that's why we always say to companies, do not go out there with unauthentic comments about gender pay gap or anything unless you are truly invested in it and can stand up and say you're doing the best you can, or you are absolutely making sure you have no hidden skeletons on this, and pay people what they're worth. Gender shouldn't matter one iota. Don't get it. Don't understand. Yeah, that gets under my skin. That's a good one.
We briefly also talked about the 40-hour work week. You don't believe in it. It's an outdated relic. What do you propose as an alternative? Or should we just not have a work week?
No, yeah. So, I mean, the 4.5-day working week works really well for our team. Now, we're PR, so Friday afternoons, the press has gone home. If anything breaks on a Friday afternoon, no one's going to be reading about it anyway. It won't go through the editorial process. Nothing urgent happens on a Friday. So we front end our time so that the team work slightly longer. They work longer. Like sometimes you almost run out of lunchtime on a Monday and Tuesday. They're big days. We make sure as well, though, that by breaking early on a Friday, we've seen a massive rise in not just productivity, but well-being. And it is about life-work balance in that order. And it's just had a huge impact. So whatever the magic number is for your company, but just don't shy away from thinking 32-hour working weeks won't cut it. If they're working at fast pace, which we have no choice, 32 hours will do it. By then they're knackered, but they're giving me their all for those 32 hours, and I do push them because they've got to keep up to my pace. My weeks tend to be longer, but I'll still have Friday afternoons off. I took up golf in order to get off the computer, to force myself outside, to make sure I was having that break for my own well-being. But I can, because I start earlier and
I try golf, right?
Yeah.
What made you want to do golf?
I live overlooking a golf course. I shut the blinds just as the sun was coming in. And
free golf balls. Do you ever get golf balls in your backyard?
Sometimes we get them near the cars, and I not very happy about that. But we were living here for 4 years, and people would come up, like delivery drivers, and like, do you play golf? And we're like, no. They're like, why do you live here? Nice for you. And also, I only really had the time 3 years ago. My children are now 17 and a half and 18 and a half. So 3 years ago, they reached a point where they didn't need me quite so much. And they basically have their own lives. So it was easy to, guilt-free as a mum, spend my Friday afternoons and other times being able to go out and play golf. And it was such a big stress relief. And another thing is, the ad tech industry is full of golfers. Right. And a lot of them are blokes. And when they have a golf day, some of the women come up in arms going, there's no women at that golf day. And I'm like, yeah, but if you don't play, you can't moan about it. You can't moan about them playing golf. We got to be in it to play it. So I thought I'll join them in. So I do have golf days with some of the ad tech boys. So
is there another sport you'd recommend that the industry does?
I don't know if the industry does. I used to play,
like maybe water polo or something.
I don't know if that's our forte. I was captain of the London Advertising Softball League back in the 90s, and I loved that. So we'd play Dennis Punching,
and that's underhand, right?
Agencies. Yeah, that's underhand. No, you only have a glove at backstop. It's like a different way, and you play at Regent's Park. We used to play. So round softball was really good. Dart. That's a British one. Love a bit of arrows in the pub. That's a pub thing also. So love a bit of pub action. Love it. I love cricket. I'm a proper Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be hard for you. I mean, the British pub culture is legendary. But you still go to the game. You don't go in the pubs.
So I go to pubs, and all I did was change the ingredient. I didn't change the habit. So what I have in my drink just happens not to be alcohol. It can be Diet Pepsi right now. Other brands are available. It doesn't make any difference to me. I love being around people who drink because that's their choice. It's perfectly. I don't like being around them at 11 o'clock at night when they've repeated things 8 times to me. But I love being. It doesn't change anything not drinking alcohol. You're the same person. And there's loads. You just have a great time.
And you get to make fun of people who are drinking.
Kind of, yeah.
It's kind of part of the fun.
You do what's called an Irish exit, where you bugger off without saying goodbye. You'll find me at most industry events, life and soul for 2 hours, and people are like, where's Jules gone? I've done a disappearing act.
Let's talk about rudeness. You said it really grinds your gears. Do you think the digital age has made people bolder in their bad behavior, or is it just more visible?
Definitely it's more visible because it's in the written form and it's keyboard warriors. People hide behind that. The LinkedIn comments are shocking. I'm co-founder of Digital
people say things they would never say to you in person.
Never say to your face. And I'm really, sadly, as co-founder of Digital Leading Ladies, and we've got this amazing group of women in there. And I also co-founded Women in Can group. There's 1,000 women in there. And so many of them say, I've posted this on LinkedIn and I've got a load of nasty comments from men or comments about how I look. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? They wouldn't say that to your face if you were in a meeting with them and they were trying to sell to you. And there's a respect layer that's just missing there. So I find that. And I do also think rudeness comes in different forms. And one of my biggest bugbears, and interestingly, somebody else posted about this on LinkedIn last week. And it was another PR agency founder who said, what is going on at the moment with this ghosting, not replying, making us go through pitch processes, putting all this work in, saying it's immediate and really important, and then not responding. And all of us there was about 300 comments of companies like myself as well going, why do people think it's okay? Just respond and say, it's not for us, or we had the budget pulled. Be honest. We're not moving forward. Or be honest and say, we were really just doing it to pick your brains and now we're going to do it ourselves. Be honest. But don't ghost and don't make people jump through hoops. And there's levels of rudeness like that. The worst offending is the poor ad agencies who I know countless times, 1st of December comes and a client, a marketer and a brand will say, you need to now do a pitch process, be in pitch process, and the pitch process starts the 3rd of Jan. And suddenly a whole team is now held off over Christmas doing a pitch process. It's still happening now, and I find that rude.
Right. Do you think the always-on culture has anything to do with this?
Yeah, a little bit. And I think there's no ability. People expect you to respond We had a situation recently in which we are based in the UK. And we cover the UK, Europe, APAC, MENA, and only a little bit of US. So we generally don't do US because of the time zones. So I can start at 6, 7 in the morning, but by 4 o'clock, myself and the team are knackered and we go offline. Now that's great for Europe, APAC, MENA, even UK. At that point, the US opens up, and we have turned down clients that have said, no, if we work with you, you'll be dealing with the US team, even though it's for EMEA press. So
Right.
you will need to be available for answering emails in the evening. So there's no respect of the fact that, hang on, we've just done our working day and we're now expecting. That's that always on culture that I think is unfair. You have to have a break. You have to get off screen. I say this and then I don't do it. I'm like you, stay on, keep on. But I am learning to put my phone in another room in the evening and turn it off.
So what are you most optimistic about the industry? And amidst all the noise and chaos, what gives you hope and makes you believe there's still magic left in this world of digital?
What brings me hope? The people in it. I've known these people for 30 years and I love the fact that relationships and the people you meet just get more and more interesting. And our industry has got really, really good people, and the networking in the community feels like something that's growing arms and legs. So my hope for the future is more people lean in, both men and women. I wish men would lean in a lot more, because I think it will be the same. It not only helps for good business, it helps for good mental health, good well-being, good laughs. That's
Hey,
my
before
hope.
we go,
Simple one.
if you could send a text message to wide-eyed Julia 30 years ago to give yourself advice, what would it be?
Well, the weird thing is, I think I said this just before we started. I've really enjoyed all my life, my working life. I've had a brilliant time. I've never had a job I haven't enjoyed. And when I've stopped enjoying it, I've moved jobs. I think I would say to me to not care as much about what people think, and also try not to look at competitors with anything other than appreciation for what they do, rather than looking and going, oh, I missed a trick, or they're better than me. You are who you are, and you're as good as as you want to be, and you should kind of be happy with where you are, with what you've achieved. I think I did spend a lot of years constantly pushing. There's supposed to be this thing where you go from the comfort zone, fear zone, grow zone, learn zone. And I constantly I never was in the comfort zone. I just went straight all the time. I want to grow. I never stood still. And I wish I could have told myself, take it a little bit easier.
All right, folks, that's the show for today. Big thanks to our guest, Julia Linehan, for dropping some serious truth bombs and keeping it spicy, like only she can. Now, before you run off to your next Zoom meeting or doomscroll X Twitter, let's give a shout out to our sponsors who keep this circus going. First up, Troutman Amin LLP. These folks don't just play hardball, they throw curveballs that make your opposition cry for mommy. Whether it's class action madness or compliance nightmares, Troutman Amin has your back when you're in the thick of it and need a team that can chew up lawsuits and spit out settlements. And let's not forget Origin at originmedia.tv. Those magicians turning couch potatoes into shopaholics with their shoppable CTV ad tech. If you're tired of hearing crickets on your campaigns and want to make your ads actually work, hit up Origin. They've got the secret sauce to boost your engagement faster than a TikTok trend. And to all you out there listening, remember, stay bold, stay curious, and make sure you know more than you did yesterday. Or at least pretend you do at your next client meeting.